how we make sopapillas. First you boil it for about 20 minutes. You only need about a cup of squash. I like to boil a lot ahead of time so that it cuts down the prep time. It actually freezes really well. After boiling it for about 20 minutes till it's nice and soft, you're gonna wanna strain all the water out of it. It would be advised to let it cool down for a little bit, but we're gonna skip that step and just get the squash out. Depending on how you cut the squash beforehand, you can either cut the skin off before you boil it or after you boil it. I prefer to do it after I boil it just because it's easier. It'll come off a lot easier. So once you cut it all out, you're gonna start mashing it until it's a fine puree. You can do this in a food processor if you really want, but honestly, especially if you've just boiled it, it's so soft that you can do this just with a fork. That's probably good. I personally like to cook it in olive oil. Traditionally, this is cooked in lard. You're gonna want at least ½ inch of oil in the pan. So you're gonna want 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of baking powder. If you're gonna make 1 cup of squash, then it's 1 cup of flour. If you made a ton of squash like I did, what you're gonna wanna do is measure out 1 full packed down cup of the banana squash. Dump it into the bowl. And you can put the rest away for later if you would like to make other batches within the next week. From there, you're gonna take 2 tablespoons of butter to melt into the banana squash. And you're gonna wanna mash the butter in really well before you combine it in with the dry ingredients. Dump it in. And now, finally, you get to make the dough. Depending on how much water was in your squash to begin with, you might find as you're rolling out the dough, you might have to add in a little bit of flour to make it less sticky. Once most of the dry ingredients have been mashed in like this, you're gonna wanna dump it on the table and just start kneading it with your hands. Once you got a really nice ball of dough going, you're just gonna wanna let it sit for about 5 minutes. So you're gonna wanna put down a little bit of flour on the table and also make sure you put flour on your rolling pin. You're gonna take the ball of dough, break it in half, and you're gonna use the rolling pin to roll it into a very, very thin sheet of dough. Traditionally, there are 2 ways to form them. First, which you will see more commonly, is the circle. You're gonna take a cup or a glass. I like ones about this big because you get really nice big circles. You set it right on top. Once you get a few of them down, what you're gonna do is take some forks, make some holes in them like this. The second way to form them is to cut them into strips. This. Once you cut them into strips, in the middle of the strip, you're gonna cut a slit. You take one end, you put it through the slit, and you pull it through. And it makes these cool little twists. They fry really quickly, and you're just gonna wanna do them until they look like they start going gold, like that. Turn them over really quickly. And when they're done, you're gonna put just a little bit of salt right on top for a garnish, and that's how you make sopapillas.